Operation Epstein Fury in the war in Iran is now entering its fourth week.
Good evening, Jerika. As we head into week 4 of this war,
with no foreseeable end. A war that was claimed would end in days.
Colonel, it did seem at the beginning that Donald Trump expected a quick win here. Coming off the high of what happened in Venezuela. Well, it's certainly not got that.
But is now 4 weeks in, resulting in fuel prices soaring worldwide.
Fuel prices are surging worldwide as crude oil climbs above critical levels amid escalating geopolitical tensions. Nearly 20% of global oil supply faces disruption risks through the Strait of Hormuz, triggering a broad-based energy shock.
That in itself will see to the price rise of all commodities due to the ripple effect when it comes to fuel price increment.
Well, the economic fallout from the US-Israel-Iran war continues. The president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has declared a state of national energy emergency in response to the Middle East conflict and what he is calling an imminent danger that is posed to the country's energy supply.
98% of the Philippines' oil supplies comes through the Persian Gulf. And so the country has really been suffering from everything from transportation to the price of rice, which has more than doubled as well, because of course rice has to be transported from wherever it's imported from into the cities and out to the rural areas.
But there are those calling for the war to continue for their own selfish gain, and others who have profited from the war, namely the chairman of Palantir AI, who is the shadow president of the US and recouping his investment through regular old corruption.
Meet Shadow President Peter Thiel. Recognized as Republican kingmaker, Thiel has wielded extraordinary influence over Donald Trump's administration. Thiel dominated his original transition team, has won multiple military contracts under Trump for 30 different government agencies, and has been the primary force behind J.D. Vance's political rise to power. Thiel is also recognized as the Don of the PayPal Mafia. He sits on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group and co-founded the now infamous big tech company Palantir, which he currently chairs.
Palantir announces a new mega program with the Trump government. And not just any program, but Palantir's specialty, a digital mass surveillance system to target you and your family and all the rest of us.
This is the war Trump wants an end to, as the war has led to Iran bombing US bases and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, where most of the world's petrol flows through.
الان دقیقاً تو قلب تنگه هرمز قرار داریم.
چیه پشت سرمون؟
یه نفتکشیه که اینجا ایستاده و موتورش خاموش کرده تا تکلیفش برای عبور از تنگه مشخص بشه.
اون چیزی هم که ما اینجا دیدیم در همین محدوده تقریباً 40 تا از کشتی‌های تجاری هستن که باید ایران اجازه صادر کنه تا بتونن در واقع از تنگه هرمز عبور کنن. اینجا کجاست دوباره؟
قلب تنگه هرمز.
Which has led to Trump's approval ratings to plummet on the eve of the midterm elections, which could potentially see the Democrats winning both legislative chambers that could lead to Trump's impeachment. That was why Trump gave Iran his 48-hour deadline, an ultimatum to end all hostility and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, or Trump would obliterate all of Iran's energy infrastructure.
So tensions with Iran are escalating fast. President Trump now threatening to obliterate its power grid if Tehran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump told the Iranians last night they have 48 hours to unblock the strait or he would obliterate their power plants. Iran replied that all energy facilities belonging to the United States will be targeted in response.
Donald Trump has given the Islamic Republic of Iran an ultimatum that if it doesn't fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz within the next 48 hours, he will totally destroy Iran's power plants. More than 30 hours have passed since this threat, and the brave people of Iran are still standing in the street chanting, "Not surrender to the United States."
An empty threat. If the US had that capacity, they would have done it already. This type of public ultimatum on social media is only done to make Trump seem like a tough guy, while in reality, no country would bow to such a demand, seeing as a genuine approach would be done discreetly with trusted third parties, not social media. Similarly to how Trump at the beginning of the war told the UK not to bother sending anything, but later asked the UK plus other NATO countries to help him defeat Iran, a war Trump fought on behalf of a genocidal nation that is the only country in the world to possess child prisons.
After interrogation, children are brought here for trial. Ophir military prison near Jerusalem. The army would not let Four Corners film inside. I've been behind these walls 3 times. I saw children shuffling across the courtyard, handcuffed and shackled. Some hearings lasted 60 seconds. I saw one boy shout the name of his prison so his mother would know where he was being held. I saw the judge convict some children without even once looking at them. Through it all, what I saw was a conveyor belt of convicted children.
And deliberately attack journalists.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
While starving medical doctors, a war started to distract his nation from the fact he's a child rapist.
To discuss this administration's massive cover-up of the Epstein files in order to conceal President Trump's involvement. This cover-up reached its apex last month when Attorney General Pam Bondi falsely testified under oath before the House Judiciary Committee. The Attorney General testified, quote, "There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that," unquote. This is a lie. There is credible evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. And that, of course, excludes the nearly 3 million pages that the DOJ is refusing to turn over. Donald Trump is mentioned thousands of times in the Epstein files. There are multiple allegations that he sexually assaulted young girls.
The US recently sanctioned the war to continue, plus the placement of troops on the ground to the deployment of paratroopers in the Middle East to be later used against Iran. Iraq forces loyal to Iran in return have attacked US interests in Iraq, including direct attacks on US troops. Additionally, Iran has dealt a heavy blow in the form of raining ballistic and cluster-head missiles on the heart of Israel.
The devastation being wreaked on Israel, despite their blockade of any information getting out, is leaking out.
This was a direct hit. Not far from Israel's main nuclear reactor, showing Iran can keep raining missiles across Israel and the Middle East, all while maintaining their almost total blockade on the Strait of Hormuz.
Iranian ballistic missiles struck Israel overnight, inflicting damage on a scale not seen here since the beginning of the war. The southern city of Arad targeted, emergency workers arriving to a scene of devastation.
An angry Iran strikes the southeastern Israeli city of Dimona, home to a facility believed to house Israel's nuclear arsenal.
In retaliation for Israel's cupboard-bombing military Gaza-style tactic, as well as other advances that the US is not keen to admit to. That is why Trump and his master Israel have called on third world nations to assist them in a war they started, which only broadens the conflict with possible retaliatory strikes by Iran on those said nations, and also why Israel bombed Arab countries, then blamed it on Iran so to drag those nations into the war.
See that in some of the war strategy, right? We actually know one of the attacks on Bahrain that was purported to have come from Iran, actually now we know it was a Tomahawk. That was a U.S. missile that actually, did the damage there in Bahrain. We've had other indications that the Americans and the Israelis are actually responsible for some of the attacks that they are blaming on Iran. Why? Because they want to draw the entire region in. They want to make it so that those Arab Gulf states, that they also fully join the fight without hesitation.
Sadly, as of now, this war has no end in sight.
Israel's government has also spread chaos, terror, and suffering throughout the region. Iran's government has also spread chaos, terror, and suffering throughout the region. Israel's government has also spread chaos, terror, and suffering throughout the region.